Pokémon GO has been out for about a week now, and I've been playing it pretty much every day ever since. Even though I feel like the core gameplay loop is a little shallow, I've been pretty obsessive over this game, and not just for the novelty of catching Pokémon in the real world, but because of the cultural impact it's made over the course of a few days, and how much that excites me for the future of video games in general. In case you've been living under a rock for the past few days, Pokémon GO is an augmented reality game that uses your mobile device's GPS and camera, and it allows you to journey around your neighbourhood in search of Pokémon. You can catch them, train them, and have them battle against other trainers' Pokémon. The usual Pokémon stuff, but with a lot of the fat trimmed out. A lot of it. But the game does feature all 151 Pokémon. Isn't there 729? Yeah, they don't count anymore. Sorry, I don't know, Cryogonal. It's just Snowflake, and he's mad, and he's got a little beard. Why? This was actually a pretty clever move by the Pokémon company, since I think it helped a lot of people that were unfamiliar with anything to do with Pokémon outside the original games and anime. They could be introduced to GO by characters and designs that they recognise, without being put off by creatures like this.
Loop is a madman, help us, save us!
The game also uses actual landmarks around the world that serve as Pokéstops. These are places that players can visit and receive items and experience that will help your Pokémon grow stronger and eventually find rarer ones. Which you want to do because some landmarks are Pokémon gyms, places where players can battle other trainers and claim that area for your chosen team, Instinct, Valor, or Mystic. This is about as far as the gameplay loop goes though. It's pretty much the closest the world is going to get to a real world Pokémon experience. At least for now. But the game is not without its problems. Although it can't be helped that it's a battery vampire. And if you try to play that audio source again, the game goes completely silent. I'm sure the majority of players are very familiar with its frequent server issues and the tendency to just crash, usually while catching a Pokemon. Not to mention how long it can take just to open the damn thing. My biggest issue with the game though is the lack of function when the app is closed or even suspended. No movements tracked, no push notifications, nothing. And the reason why is pretty transparently to give players a reason to buy the $35 Pokémon GO Plus peripheral that flashes and vibrates whenever a Pokémon is nearby. A feature that's suspiciously missing from the app. Speaking of money actually, while the game is free, players can purchase items via microtransactions, which has an unfortunate impact on the competitive side of things. Which I'm personally not too fussed about. I don't like the battles very much. I don't think they play particularly well, and they're not reflective of Pokemon in general. You just kind of tap at the screen and swipe to dodge, and considering the way the game performs already, it leaves a lot to be desired. People who spend a lot of money are more likely to have stronger Pokemon in lead gyms than people who just spend a lot of time playing the game. And worse still for those who don't play very often or have just started. This goes hand in hand as well with the original cast of Pokemon having a notoriously unbalanced variation of types, leaving some Pokemon extremely difficult to defeat. With all of that put aside though, the unfathomable and somewhat unprecedented cultural impact Pokemon GO has left in such a short time is pretty remarkable. The resurgence of the Pokemania from the late 90s to the early 2000s takes me back, and the diehard Pokemon fan I was as a kid and still am today is loving that. I don't think I've been outside once without seeing at least a handful of people hanging around at Pokestops or catching Pokemon from public transport. The specific zeitgeist Pokemon hits seems to have this incredible reach across people of all ages. And the sheer population of the game speaks for itself just by looking at the map. Between seeing gyms constantly switch in leadership throughout the day, and one of the game's items, the Lure module, players attached to Pokestops to attract Pokemon to that specific area are just all over the place. Travelling to densely populated areas is a blast because of the insane amount of lures that are placed everywhere. Everybody helps each other out, and it's created a really powerful sense of community. Almost everybody I know who's been playing this game has told me how great it is just to be able to walk down the street and exchange a knowing glance or even strike up conversations. Because now people have a platform where they can just do that and feel comfortable. And for a lot of people, that's a really significant opportunity that video games don't often provide. Just the other night, I failed to catch a Dragonair and ended up in a conversation of people who were trying the same thing. I didn't learn these people's names, and it's not like I became their friend, but I walked away with a warm feeling and a smile on my face. And I'm sure friendships have been formed just by people bumping into each other and chasing a rifle or something. For better or worse, even local businesses have started taking advantage of the game's mechanics, offering free food and drink to players, and in some cases spending their own money on lure modules for nearby Pokestops, guaranteeing visiting Pokemon while you're there. And of course, there have been a lot of cases of establishments like churches and private property owners that aren't so welcoming to wandering players. But what's made me the happiest about this is the overwhelming increase in attention being given to public art and national parks, since they're all registered Pokestops, complete with information and credit to the artists. By being encouraged to visit these places for Pokemon and items, people are more than likely to stop and appreciate and learn places they may have never even known were just around the corner from their own home. Of course, it's been argued that these people are only there for the game and their attention will be drawn exclusively to their screen, and in some cases that's true. But I think it's a very valuable first step, especially when you consider this game has been out for just over a week. The creative benefits we could potentially see years from now are unimaginable. And if we can just keep progressing in more positive ways from here, not just when we develop video games and interactive experiences, but when we create art, form relationships, open businesses, head movements and foundations, the possibilities are really exciting. And all this game is really doing is getting people to go outside. But it's that first step that could lead to anything. Of course, I acknowledge that at the end of the day, this is a capitalist venture. Pokemon GO is a product, and the profits go straight to Nintendo and Google. Where they choose to go from here though is anyone's guess. And I sincerely encourage developers everywhere, myself included. When you're creating games, think of how you can make positive influences on society just like this. Because I know all of you out there are just filled with bright ideas, and I want to see them all. Even if it's just another reason to get friends and families to go out and explore the world together, I'm looking forward to it. But if you've evolved a Magikarp, I want to kill you.